Is it so loud for everyone? That's the you. Someone's calling me. I doubt they want to be on the show. But you never know. You never know. Hello, everybody. It's Dan Turbyville here. Welcome to Powerhouse Fence Show. Today, we're going to give a little recap of Fence Tech. Not going to do anything too crazy on there. Just kind of share our perspective, what we experienced, and what we thought of the show. Again, that's an unbiased opinion, so we can feel free to talk about whatever we want. Then I'm going to hop on my soapbox a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what licensed and insured means. And then I'm going to tell you some stories about some identity theft stuff. And then finally, we're going to talk about a update to Simpalo. We've kind of mentioned some updates coming for some weeks and didn't really want to reveal it. I don't know why I wanted to be mysterious about it, but we revealed it at Fence Tech last week. So now we can talk about it here. So yay. 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 Oh, there we go. It's the one all the way over there closest. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Okay. All right. So episode 673, we're going to know how to use this Rodecaster, I think.
One day.
I have no idea what events we're going to next. Oh, actually, I'm not even supposed to talk about that yet. But anyway, still have no idea. I want to go to a couple of trade shows that I found. One is GSX Global Security Exchange, I believe. I'd like to go to that. Somebody was telling me about one called like ISC West, I guess is also kind of more high security, perimeter security type of trade show. And then there's Equip Expo, I believe it's called, that happens in Louisville, Kentucky, which looks like it would be really cool to go see. It's something like, I don't know, 30 acres and a bunch of equipment dealers and things like that there. I don't know if it's more suited for like landscaping, lawn care type stuff, or if it's just equipment in general. I have no idea. But Louisville's not that far away. Would be cool to go to. So, yeah, our show, finally, we'll talk about all the wonderful people that make this happen. Memphis Fence Company, MFC Manufacturing, Simpalo are the sponsors, and our partners are the Thornton Fence Consulting Group. So if you're looking to bring on a consultant or coach this year, give Tony or his team a call. They also have partnered with some people, and they came out with the AI chatbot called Fence GPT. And I think that's, I don't know, fencegpt.ai or something like that. Fence News. So one of the few fence industry publications that exist. It's the one that has Pete and Jake in it, and they're good people. I like them. So here we are. And then a new one we can talk about. We don't have the logo added to the top yet, but we're going to add EZG Manufacturing on there. Yay. They make the big orange things, the fence hog and barbed wire hog and other things like that.
A lot of hogs.
Yeah, you know I'm so good at names. In fact, their logo is like a razorback or a wild boar kind of hog looking thing. So, I don't know. I like their stuff. I like them. And so I said, hey, we'll put your logo on the show too. And so here we are. Maybe by next week. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So if anyone from EZG Manufacturing is listening, sorry, your logo's not there yet, but it will be. All right. We are live. There's a phone number on the bottom, 901-878-4987. And I don't know how to know who's calling to talk to us about the show or who's calling and is just a random caller, but I've had 2 calls in the past 3 minutes, and I don't think either of them were for the show, but yeah. So, yeah, we're live. Call us if you want. Hang out if you want. But thank you for being here regardless. There was quite a few people at Fence Tech that talked about they listened to the show. One really cool story that I liked was there was someone there who said they saw a video that we put out about some of our trucks, which there's a few of them, right, Ilaria? Maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I specifically remember one person, but oh no, sorry, we're talking about the video.
Yeah,
My
like
bad.
3 or 4 videos
Yeah, I
about
think we
trucks.
have three.
Yeah. So one of them, we had some of our F550s in there. And so I ran into somebody at Fence Tech, and the guy's like, man, I saw that video. The truck was set up just great. And we bought 3 of them and built them just like that. And so they bought Dodges. I didn't hold it against them, but they bought like a Dodge 4500 or 5500 or something like that and put the same bed on it, kind of set it up like ours. I thought that was pretty cool. So we're doing something, right? I mean, we showed them, hey, this is the way we have our truck set up, and they liked it and they did it. So I think that's pretty cool. I like it. So yeah, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions or ideas or anything else like that, feel free to let us know. If you do enjoy listening, maybe you could give us a like or review or some sort of support. That would be cool. Just kind of a little bit of motivation for us to keep going, I think, is all it is. All right, so we did go to Fence Tech, and we did give away a TV at Fence Tech. It was pretty cool. But how, on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our giving away a TV? How well we did at giving it away?
Horrible. 1.
Yeah. We did not do a very good job at it. We had one winner, and they're like, oh, nope, sorry, we're not there, and we're not coming back to get a TV. And I was like, oh, okay. So then we kind of had to scramble around, and we wound up giving it to a young man, and I think that it went to a good home, and I bet he'll get a lot of use out of it, and that is ideal. I'm glad that, no offense to anybody, but I would rather it go to him than go to somebody that already has 6 TVs in their house and doesn't really need another one anyway. So I think it all worked out, and I think it was cool. So, in case you don't know, I'm a big advocate for fence events in general. I think Fence Tech is a great one. A lot of energy and effort goes into it, but it is, like I said, I'm a big advocate for these events in general. Fence Tech School, you get to walk around. There's a big show floor with a lot of people there, and it's really cool to kind of be in the mix and see all of the resources that goes into creating a lot of these show floors and different things like that. It's really cool. Although we don't get to walk around very much because there's people in our booth the whole time we're there, which is good. That's why we're there. So that's the reason we'll come back next time, right? But in general, I like these events. So you do get to see the products and stuff like that, but there's always, I don't know about always, but typically there's a lot of educational stuff that goes hand in hand with trade shows and these different events. So that's definitely a big deal. The educational stuff is great. Even if you know what you're doing and you've done it for 100 years, you can still go sit in there and you can listen to somebody talking. You can hear a different perspective, hear a different experience. And all of that's great, right? That's what helps us to grow, I believe, is hearing other people's perspectives and opinions and experience, and maybe just kind of going into that open-minded instead of being like, oh, you dumb, what do you know? Right. So I think it's all about the attitude you go in there with, but really cool. And then the biggest thing to me, and I believe one of the most important things that can happen, is you go in there and you meet people. And you never know how you meet people, right? I just went around at one of the functions that was there, and I found people that looked like they were lost, and I just randomly walked up to them and started talking to them. And that may be a way that you meet somebody. But once you meet one person, then, 2 or 3 more will come by, and next thing you know, you've met 20 people. And having those contacts and those resources that you can rely on when you need someone to talk to or need help or whatever, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Hopefully, anyone who's listening to this has experienced that. If not, if you just want to call and talk to somebody, the phone number's on the bottom of the screen all the time. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk fence anytime. So yeah, we were there representing Tim Pollard. We had a steady flow of people through the booth most of the time. Fence Tech in Nashville was a little bit bonkers, and there were times where it seemed like there was like 40 people standing outside of our booth. And when you're doing that, it's a little bit insane. Uh, but this time it was, I felt like mainly, or most of the time, it was a manageable number of people around. Don't you think, Ilaria?
Oh yeah, this time it was much better.
Right. And so we were actually able to interact with the majority of the people that came through and, stood outside of our booth and watched our TV playing a video and wanted to play putt putt and wanted some free swag and all that kind of stuff. We were able to interact with most of them, and that's good, right? Back to the whole networking thing and all that stuff. I'm not very good at the hard sell. I'm not pushy. I mean, if you wanted, like, if people come by our booth and just want a hat, here, have a hat. I don't care. You don't have to sit and listen to a sales pitch, right? But I do like having that interaction with people, and so it's a good thing for us when we actually can do that with everyone. The schedule was crazy. So this was definitely our craziest schedule at Fence Tech or trade show yet. So we landed Monday and we started Monday night, and every single day, either before or after or both, before, after, or both of the show, there was always something going on. And it was like, I mean, we just kept like a running agenda of things that we had to do, right? And you saw like the week leading up to the show, like twice a day, I was updating that thing and adding stuff onto it, and it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And so that was pretty crazy. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. Uh, I mean, we went and had meals with people, went to parties, went to meetings. I spoke at a YFP class that was in there. I mean, I spoke for a minute. I wasn't like the main speaker, but I did speak for a minute. So overall, hats off to everyone involved in pulling off Fence Tech. Really good job. It was awesome. We had a great time. I think. Did you have fun?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool, right?
It was fun.
Hey, so Tuesday night at the kickoff party, I was in the igloo. That was crazy. So I was sitting in there with Dan Wheeler and Joe Everest, and it was I was gonna say super intimidating, but let me be a little tough. It was a tad bit intimidating. No, actually, it was pretty intimidating sitting in the room with those two people live streaming at a party at Fence Tech. Like, it was a little intimidating for me to be honest. So it took me a few minutes before I even like talked. I think I just sat there like, for like 10 minutes, and I don't think I said a word, but it was fun, and I was honored to be able to be a part of that. I think it was cool. I signed autographs for people, Ilaria.
Oh wow.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was crazy. Someone asked me, I think a couple people asked me. I'm frozen on my screen. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's up with our stuff, man. So we swapped. We have dedicated fiber, like the best internet that we could get, and still it messes up sometimes. But anyway, oh yeah, the autographs. So we used to race sprint cars a little bit, and that was the last time I'd autographed anything for anyone, because they have like the whole drivers interact with fans, whatever that thing is called, and you autograph like hats and shirts and stuff. And I think that was the last time I autographed anything. So cool. Thanks for whoever it was that got an autograph. Okay, enough about that. Go to a show. Go to some event. Doesn't matter what it is. Just go somewhere. Experience it. Do the stuff. Like, put yourself out there. Get a little uncomfortable. Get in the mix and go see what it's like. It's cool. If you give it a chance, you might actually like it. Are you ready? You ready for this? Here
Yes.
comes my time on the soapbox.
Go for it.
Yeah. So it's always this weird thing, right? Like, I try not to offend people. I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything that might hurt someone's feelings and all of this stuff. Isaac, thanks for stopping by, man. Good to see you. or see your profile picture. So yeah, I always kind of like have this hesitation about saying stuff that might be offensive to somebody, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, I'm not going to be like overly offensive, right? I'm try not to do that
I'll
to
stop you.
anyone. Yeah, okay. You'll just hit end if it goes crazy. Just hit
Yeah.
end.
I'd be like, Wi-Fi is down.
Oh yeah, sorry, our internet died. If I get too crazy, what was our drink sound?
Our drink sound. I have it.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, thanks, Isaac. The other day I was at dinner and some people were bragging about you, man. So you're doing it. All right. So soapbox time. This is in Tennessee. Okay. So I'm going to talk about contractors license and things like that. This is in Tennessee. States have different laws, right? Some states don't even require a contractor's license, and some states have higher limits, lower limits, all kinds of crazy stuff. So just know, just because I say something for the here, it applies to Tennessee, based on my experience and the little bit of effort that I put into making sure that I was right. So I saw the other day, I saw one of these typical, hey, I'm looking for recommendations for somebody to put a fence up for me type post on some, local town trade group kind of thing, whatever it was. And so we don't even do residential fence. Like I don't even try to compete in that market. In fact, I don't want people to like tag me in that kind of stuff or anything, right? So but I can't help myself from looking. Like when I see it, I got to go look through there and be like, oh, what are all these people saying? I don't know what the deal is. So of course I go in there and I look, and there's like 693 people that have been like, oh, I can do it, I can do it. And so I started noticing there was like some flyers, pictures of flyers, pictures of cards, pictures of different things like that. And they all said licensed and insured. I thought that was a little weird, right? Like all of these people saying that they're licensed and insured. And so I said, okay, well, let's see what the deal is. And so I said, there's no way that many people have a contractor's license around here, especially there's, not, yeah, yeah. And if you have a contractor's license and you're located in the same town as me, odds are I've probably ran into you before. I probably know, right? And there's a lot of these people in here that I don't know who they are. I don't recognize the name of their business, anything else. So, yeah, I I thought all these people don't have contractor's license. So, turns out I was right. And so what I did in the state of Tennessee, you can go to the like contractors licensing board, and there's a little search on there to verify a license. And so I went and I just searched for the word fence as the company name. Okay. So it's going to show me any company that has the word fence in their, I don't registered name on their license or whatever the proper way to say that is. And so in Shelby County, now that means that they're physically located in Shelby County. That's the county where Memphis is. There's 5. I looked in the county that's one county north, and there was 1. And so there's no way that all of these people were licensed, in my opinion of what license was. So then I started questioning myself. I was like, well, maybe when they say licensed and insured, maybe it means something else. Right? Maybe it doesn't even mean that they have a contractor's license. Are they claiming to have a business license? Like what does that word licensed mean? So I go and I go to a great source, and I asked Chat GPT. I said, hey, can you tell me what this phrase means? And I always put stuff in prompts. Just here's a little tidbit for you. Uh, I am taking an AI engineer course, but I definitely am not an expert. I don't know very much about it. It's pretty complex and there's a lot to it. And I think it would take like years of actively working in that field to even really get a grasp on it. So I know a little bit, maybe more, maybe less than some people. I don't know. So I asked ChatGPT. I said, when a contract, oh, no, no, no. Sorry, I forgot the little tidbit I was going to give you. So in my prompts, I'll say things like, take your time. Don't give me an answer unless you can give me the source for that answer. So AI does this thing called hallucinating and other stuff to where sometimes it'll just like give you an answer just for the sake of giving you an answer instead of giving you an answer that can be backed up by anything. So I always try to include that in prompts, some little stuff like that. So here's what it said. It said when a contractor claims they're licensed and insured, it means bold point number one, licensed. They have obtained the necessary approvals from local and state governments to operate legally as a contractor. That means they've met specific qualifications, passed exams, comply with industry regulations, licensing requirements obviously vary by state and stuff like that. So I didn't make it state specific, right? And then the insured part, pretty self-explanatory. So they have insurance, they have general liability, workers' comp, probably commercial auto, maybe an umbrella, different insurance like that. So for a consumer, it offers them protection. If something goes wrong on the job, then someone who has gone through all of that to get a license, to carry proper insurance and everything else, well, one, they're more likely to handle it right. But then also, you can go back to the state's licensing board and file a complaint. And like, I personally want to protect my license, right? So if someone was to do that, worst case scenario, right? Like I decide, screw these people, I'm not going to do whatever it is that they want them to do, and I'm not going to make it right. Then they could go file a complaint with the contractor's licensing board. Had it happened to me one time. It was a residential lady, and she went and filed a complaint. Turns out we were putting in a custom built ornamental fence for her, and so when we like set the gate post and we didn't cut the gate post off and didn't like permanently install the caps or anything, uh she went out there and like pulled the caps off and took pictures of the inside of the tubing and was like, oh, look at all this garbage, and they didn't do a good job, and these caps are just sat on there and stuff. And in some of the pictures that she sent in, like you could see the truck sitting in the background. It's like, well, we were still working on it, at least give us a chance to finish the job before you critique it. I think she was one of those that bought a 4 foot tall fence and her yard kind of, you know, went up and down some. And she would go out there and measure and be like, oh, it's 49 inches here and 47 inches here. This thing getting 4 foot tall. And like, we got all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I really think there's people in the world that do that stuff just because they want a discount. And she indeed got a discount. Um, the licensing board of Tennessee basically became like I don't know, like a the mitigation. They were kind of like a go-between from us, right? So she would send something to them, they would send something to us. We would send something to them, they'd send it back to her. And so, long story short, we wound up having to give her a discount, and she's like, "Okay, thanks. The fence is perfect now." So maybe some of you have encountered some people who were like that and complained, and then they just kind of slipped in that little discount thing in there, and it's like, oh, I see. And maybe not. Maybe that was just us. I don't know. Now, when I said earlier that I found 5 in Shelby County, which is where Memphis is, 1 in the county north of Memphis. So those were people who had a contractor's license. And there's a bunch of different classifications and all that type stuff for contractor's license. But there also in the state of Tennessee is a home improvement license. So I saw this and I saw some of the results for fence had a home improvement license. And so I thought, well, that's kind of weird, right? Like home improvement doesn't really, I don't think fence when I think home improvement necessarily. Like, yeah, it's on your property, but it's not a part of your home. And obviously they're allowed to do it, right? Because the state of Tennessee is issuing them home improvement licenses and their name contains the word fence. So obviously they're fence companies. But anyway, it seems a little weird to me. So I tried to call the state and I said, well, I'm going to find out a little bit about this. I'm going to talk about it. So I'm going to try to see if I can do my due diligence. And to be honest with you, I called them and I sat on hold for like 30 or 45 minutes. And I listened to that recording over and over and over and over. And I finally hung up and said, no, sorry, I tried. I did read through some state law, read through the website. And so the home improvement license says residential remodeling projects from 3,000 to 25,000. So residential remodeling, once again, does that really mean fence? Because when I think remodeling, I think somebody's going to come in and replace the cabinets in my kitchen and put a new countertop in. I don't know. Maybe I just have a different opinion of that, but I tried to call and find out because, like I said, it seemed a little weird, but it seems like there's less requirements to get the home improvement license. But you still do have to go through an application process and you still have to submit stuff to the state and it still has to be approved by the contractor's licensing board and all that. So, like, people are still doing stuff to get to that point. I did not look to see how many of those were in Shelby County. Looking back, maybe I should have. But in Tennessee, you only have to have a contractor's license if the job's over 25,000 anyway. So if you were going to compete in the 25,000 plus fence world, then you got to have a contractor's license. And the home improvement license is from 3,000 to 25,000, right? So I don't know. It's a lot of gray area, kind of interesting stuff in there. It did mention several times people working on the roof of the house. So I guess maybe, roof companies get that. I don't know. But anyway, so this means something to me. And I don't like that. What I want to do is I wish I was smart enough in using social media and Facebook and other things to go back and find that post. I tried to find it. I can't figure out how to find a post. Unless I save it immediately when I see it, then I can spend 20 minutes and figure out how to get to my save stuff. But if I don't do that, there's no hope of me finding it after the fact. I would really, and the next time I catch one of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through there and I'll cross reference the people on there claiming to be licensed insured and see if they have any of that stuff. What does it matter? I don't know. But I think it's important if you're going to claim to be something, then you should actually be something. And it just bugs me. Okay. So that's why I said I'm going to get on my soapbox because really it just bugs me. So I have a contractor's license. I have, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 different classifications on there. I went through the exams. I have a CPA that prepares financial statements that we send to the state to maintain or renew that license. Like, we put in work to have a license and to maintain that license. And it's kind of frustrating to see people out there just claiming to have something that they didn't do anything for. So there we go. I'll climb back down off that soapbox. If anybody out there has anything to say about that, let me know. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear other people's perspectives or opinions if you got something. I do see that Isaac said it means different things to different people. So being licensed and insured means different things to different people. So I don't understand how we just do that. How do we say things and it mean different? Right? Isn't that weird? But hey, I guess, people do what people do. So, all right, now this is just a story. I'm just going to share this experience with you. So, this is all going to be about identity theft and my experience with that over the course of the past, I don't know, 6 years or something like that. So first of all, a few years ago, some people that are pretty close to me, we'll just say, they decided to take my birthday and my social, which they had access to by way of being the pretty close to me people that they were. And they go out and they applied for 13 credit cards. 13 credit cards. None of them were issued. And I got lucky. I called it early. I have a subscription to like my FICO or something like that. So I think it's like, I don't know, if you've ever had your credit check ran, it's going to be some FICO something number normally. They use that a lot for houses and cars and different things. But anyway, I subscribe to it. It has credit monitoring. It does the like dark web monitoring, which I don't really understand because I asked somebody one time, I was like, all right, my information's on the dark web. What can I do about it? Oh, nothing. Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me know. Like, what am I going to do? I mean, I can't go over there and just like remove it. So I don't know. But anyway, so they have credit monitoring, all that kind of stuff. You get notifications all the time when anything happens. I think it's like $30 a month or something like that. In my opinion, worth the $30 a month. It definitely, I have the app on my phone, so I get push notifications. It emails me. It does all this stuff. When we were flying back from Salt Lake City, some guy talked me into getting a Delta credit card because he's going to waive all the baggage fees and I get all these points and all this stuff. Yeah, I was that sucker and I fell for it. So I get an email from FICO. Hey, new inquiry on your credit card or on your credit report.
But you have an Amex. So
Yeah.
why do you do that?
Now I have 2.
Oh my god. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep going.
I don't know. I have 2 now, Laurie. I didn't read the rule book, okay? He just said, hey, I'll give you all these bags for free. And if you, spend some money, you get like 80,000 miles or something. I was like, oh, okay, well, sure. So anyway, yeah, like I said, got an email from FICO after that happened. So that's cool. All right. So they applied for 13. They got 9. They used 4. So they went around, used 4 of the cards that they got. And all of this happened like within a few days. I don't know. But used 4 of them. So I'm just that kind of person where, well, I don't like when people do things that are, in my opinion, wrong. And I don't know. Yeah. Well, we'll just leave that as that. So I sat down and I called all of these credit card companies. I went through all of it, sat there, called them all, spent all of the time in the world. I made this report. Okay. So it was like, I don't know, 10 pages long or something. I was able to get a couple of like credit card receipts and stuff like that. And then I think I went and found where some folks were selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace that just so happened to be the same things that were on the credit card receipts, that type stuff. But yeah, I made this whole report. I gave them all of the phone numbers that were for law enforcement to call so that they could talk to the credit card companies, all that. And I went and I filed charges with the police where I lived, right? So that's identity theft. The police where they used the cards. And I mean, then I just went a little crazy and I went to the FBI, filed a report for cyber crimes or whatever. I went to the USPS, filed a report in there for mail fraud. I was like, hey, they delivered those credit cards through the mail. That's got to be mail fraud, right? So I did everything that I could. Guess what? Not one of them called a single credit card company. I never heard from 3 of them at all. They did nothing. And so the one police department where they use the credit cards, this guy went to one place, like, because they sold coffee or something. It wasn't really a coffee place, but you know what I'm saying. He just had to go there anyway to get some groceries. So he's like, well, while I'm here, let me just see. And so he printed a picture from the security footage. And he's like, hey, is this the person? And I said, yeah, that's them. And he goes, all right. And that was it. Like, they didn't do anything. And so they finally did file, I guess they charged them with 4 counts of theft. So they got away with the identity theft, the cyber crimes, the mail fraud, all of this other crap I tried to throw at them. Like, I just sat here stewing about it. And so, yeah, they charged him 4 times for theft. Oh, Brian, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. It was good to see you at FinTech as well, sir. So the people went to court, went through that thing, and you know what? It all went away. I think they got 1 misdemeanor charge, and they gave him 24-hour jail time.
That's insane.
It's crazy. It all just went. No one cared, and I was like, you know what? I freaking care, but no one else did. And yeah, so I mean, I spent all of that time calling all these people, making reports, doing all that stuff, had to dispute all 13 of those credit inquiries on my stuff. And I mean, man, it's just all of that time that went into it. And it drove me insane that nobody did anything. So then a couple of years go by. Well, guess what? I'm at a dinner and this equipment rental guy comes over to me and he's like, oh, hey, man, I sure appreciate y'all renting that equipment, da, 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 da. And I mean, there's multiple people here that have the authority to rent equipment and everything else. And so I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I don't know what you're talking about, but cool. That kind of thing. And then I got to thinking about it. And I came in here and I said, hey, did anybody rent anything from such and such? No, we didn't rent nothing. I said, oh, gosh. So I pulled out my phone. I called the dude. I said, hey, man, that piece of equipment that you got rented, tell me about it. So he told me what it was, where it was, and all that. I said, yeah, that ain't us, dude. You need to go get that thing. And so he's like, what? I was like, yeah, that ain't us. Somebody else rented it in our name. So that's what it was. So they indeed did go get it. I think it took them like a week or something like that to even be able to get access to the property to pick the equipment up and all. It was a whole freaking mess, man. So they went over there, they got it. And, the local people, every time I ever saw them from that point forward, has been super awkward because I'm like, I didn't do it. And deep inside, I think they're like, you son of a gun, you freaking did it. And I know you did it. But it was a big old excavator, and like I don't really use them very much putting in fence, so whatever. All right, so here we go. Here comes a lawsuit because rent was never paid. I said I'm not paying rent. I didn't rent the thing, and it was like $50,000 or $60,000 worth of rent that had racked up on this joker. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So of course I get sued. I hire, call up an attorney, say, hey man, I need some help. And the attorney just starts racking up hours. And I mean, it costs, $5,000-$10,000 in attorney fees because I got sued over some crap that I didn't even have nothing to do with, but the freaking thing had my name on it. So, oh gosh, so fun.
Okay, as someone who is not from here,
Yeah.
when I learned that people like what people need to like get a mortgage, get a loan is your social security number, I was shocked.
Oh yeah, if you get somebody's social and date of birth and things like that, I mean, shoot, just go online and you can go to town if you choose to be that type of person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because in Italy, like it takes ages to get anything. So when Will told me, I was like, "Oh yeah, you gotta be careful." I was like, "Oh,
No,
fast."
I told you I got the credit card at Delta the other day.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just found out.
yeah, right. Well, I got it the other day. I told you now. So when I did that, I just pulled there was a QR code, scan the QR code, put in your information. It took 3 minutes and it immediately will let you add it to your Apple Wallet and you can start using the card 3 minutes after you apply. That's it.
You get the purple one.
Nah, it's gold.
Okay.
I don't know about no purple one, but
Okay.
Evan Gardner, thanks for stopping by, sir. Good to see you. So, all right. So today in the mail, I get these 2 letters. One of them is addressed to Memphis Fence Company with an individual's name underneath it, an individual that was an associate and involved in the 13 credit cards way back when. And I said, well, how about that? And fortunately, it was a letter informing them that they were not approved for the gas card that they were trying to get for Memphis Fence Company. So good, glad. I did call the fuel card people, and they verified somebody applied within the last 90 days. They have 0 credit, no charges on the thing, all of that. Cool. Reported it to the police. And then the next one that I got was from Chase. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you the story and I'm going to tell you who it was because it sucks. So it was from Chase. And it says, hey, your account has suspected fraudulent activity on it. So we're going to suspend it until you call us. Well, I called them. And you know what happened? I said, hey, I got this letter in the mail. It has Memphis Fence Company on it and an individual's name. I have no idea who they are. And I don't know this account. I don't have a Chase account. I have the last 4 digits. They said, well, what's your account number? No, I don't have an account. And they asked me like 5 times what my account number was, right? Or my debit card number. Oh, you don't have an account? Well, what's your debit card number? Like, dude, I don't have a Chase account. How hard is this to understand? So I go through this whole thing and talk to 3 or 4 different people, this whole rigmarole. And at the end of the day, they said, oh, you need to go to a local branch. Why didn't you just tell me this to begin with? I just sat on the phone with you for 45 minutes, talked to everybody in the whole call center, and now you're going to tell me to go to the local branch. So I thought I was going to be smart, right? So I just pick up the phone and call the local branch. And I said, hey, local branch, I got this letter. What do you want me to do about it? Oh, we got a great team of fraud people. We'll get you right over there. I said, if I was to call them, does it start with that 866 number? Oh, yeah. They're great. I was like, no, I already been down that path. They couldn't do anything for me. They told me to call you. And they say, oh, well, okay. And I was like, so can I like send this letter to you or something like that? And you get to the bottom of it. Well, no, you got to come in. What? I said, okay. So now let me just go to this Chase branch. I don't even know where one is. I found one, obviously, because I called him, right? But they're like, no, you got to come in. I said, oh, great. They said, but we'll make it super easy for you. We'll schedule you an appointment. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can schedule an appointment and come in. I said, how long is this going to take? They say, nah, it shouldn't take no more than an hour, hour and a half, something like that. Do what? To come hand you a letter? So now I had this happen at another bank, similar situation, not exactly the same thing. And what happened was the folks that were using the account, had something like negative $2,000 in the account some kind of way. And so, of course, the bank was looking at me like, hey, come on, pay up. I'm like, whoa, no, it ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care what name they put on there. It ain't mine. So that's kind of the concern, right? And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to wind up sitting in Chase and get super mad and then come on here and rant about it again next time. So at least you got that to look forward to. Oh, man. It's all so much fun. So don't steal people's identities. It really sucks.
That's a good advice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's solid advice. Don't steal people's identities. In fact, I've always kind of thought about it like, man, we've had some people steal stuff from us over the years and whatnot. And I've always just kind of look at what they went through to steal that thing that they probably took to the pawn shop and got $4 for. I'm like, I mean, I would have just hired you. Like, if you're willing to work that hard, just come to work. So it's always so crazy. In the same, I mean, I've had similar thoughts before where I'm like, you stole that thing from me and you went and pawned it. I would have just given you $20 to get it back. Right. I probably would have gave you what the pawn shop gave you. Because now I got to go through the whole thing of trying to prove that it's mine. And I'm not that great at that kind of stuff. Some stuff is really hard. If someone comes over here and steals a bunch of pipe, kind of hard to prove that it's mine. It's not serialized. I mean, I don't go outside and we don't stamp our name into every piece of pipe that we get. So that's kind of an issue, right? But been through that several times as well. So, oh man. Thanks everyone for listening. I feel better now that I got to talk about it. I sure do appreciate all y'all listening out there. So, all right, let's talk about this Impalo update and then we'll wrap this thing up. So we've been teasing it for a few weeks, been talking about, what it's going to, we got some updates coming, but I'm not going to tell you yet. Well, now today I'm going to tell you one update because that's all the developers actually got done in time. So Evan Gardner wants to know, where's my laydown yard? My laydown yard is in the hood, sir. We're in, I don't know. We're, 15 minutes kind of north of downtown Memphis?
Less.
10?
Yeah, probably like 10, 15. Yeah.
A little bit east. We're inside the 240 loop, if anyone's familiar with Memphis. Actually, there's a game. It's like Crime Scene Cleaner where you get hired to go clean up crime scenes, and the map is Memphis, interestingly enough. But yeah, so we're, like I said, 10, I think 12 minutes north of downtown Memphis. I don't know, like North Memphis, I think is technically the area that we're in. We're just south of Frazier. So if any of that means anything to you. All right, so let's talk Simpolo. So first off, I'm going to start off by telling you what it is. So bear with me just a second. If you've heard this before, I'm sorry. If you haven't heard it, then here you go. So I created it for Memphis Fence Company. The biggest pain point that I endured when I was bidding a project from a set of blueprints was getting from that set of blueprints in my hand, in my email, whatever, to a materialist, right? So back in the olden days when I first started, I had a scale, like one of those 3-sided scale deals, and used to sit and I would go to the plan room. I would set that scale on the plans, go around, measure it all out, draw it on a piece of paper. Then I would come back to the office, do some more shenanigans. And I don't know, a couple hours later, I'd have a materialist. Well, then I got super fancy and I got one of these, can't remember what it's called, a scale master or something like that. And so you would set the scale on it and you would put it down and you rolled it and had a little wheel on the end. And so you could go all the way across the whole piece of paper and it'd tell you how long it was. And man, that was the fanciest little gadget that I had in my life. Then I kind of like finally figured out, oh, wait a minute, I can do this on a computer. I don't have to like drive across town and go measure somebody else's plans. And so I started doing it that way and just progressed, ran through several different pieces of software, trying that, tried to figure out how to make fence calculations, never really could get any of that stuff to work in a way that was easy enough to not make me want to throw my computer. And so then I made Simpalo finally. Um, anyway, upload the plan set. Takes a little bit for it to process. It has to split it, convert it, da 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 da. And then you can search through, gives you some pretty cool search results. It shows you like the phrases instead of just the words. So you can skim past all your silt fence, existing fence, tree protection fence if you're not into any of that stuff. Trace out the fence lines, tell it what it is, and boom, you got a material list, right? There actually is a product in there called Anything You Want that'll tell you how many ducks and flamingos and lizard legs it takes to build a fence. So whatever you want it to calculate, it'll do it. You can add stock items that have a cost. Everything in there can be modified for you. It's all really customizable. So here comes the update. Before, if you built a configuration that was, say, 6-foot tall fence with barbed wire on top of it, well, by default, we would build that fence with a bottom tension wire. So now a customer wants a bottom rail. So what I'd do is I'd have to go in there, remove the bottom tension wire, add bottom rail. There's probably already railings and brace fans. I would add the brace fans for the line post. Like if I was doing railings and brace fans, or I'd have to add line rail clamps, in rail clamps, corner rail clamps, bolts, da 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 da. So the new update is now you push one button and it does all that for you, right? So it'll remove the tension wire. It'll add the bottom rail, railings, brace fans, all that stuff if you want. Or I kind of have been playing around with a few different things because it is brand new. And I've been playing around with doing it to where it will, you click another button and it adds the line rail clamps, in rail clamps, corner rail clamps, so you can have it either way. But yeah, that's pretty cool, right? It's super handy when you're modifying that configuration on the fly because you don't build configurations for everything. So you don't go in there. Well, I personally don't have 643 configurations built. I just kind of have like the basic stuff that if somebody down the street calls and says, "Hey, I want a fence," that's what we're going to install. Those are kind of the configurations we have built. And so before this, I almost just like ripped my headphones off, threw them across the room. Need to calm down a little bit. So, like I said, before you'd have to go in and click on all the stuff, and I just kind of, consolidated all of it together. So if you do take that basic configuration, want to add bottom rail, boom, click once it's done. So, just trying to keep moving things forward and make it a little bit easier. And we use it. We have multiple people here that use it all the time. So when we're using it, and I'm sitting there using it, I'll just be clicking around, and I'm like, man, sure would be cool if it'd do this. And then I'll add it to the development list. And that list constantly has like 30 things on it. And then the developers get to it and they're like, what was this? And I can't remember. It's a whole process, man. It's constantly fun time. It's constantly a good time. So anyone have any questions? Anyone want to call? Phone numbers? No. All right. Well, that's all I have. It's been fun. It's been cool. If I bumped into you at FinStech, it was good seeing you. If I didn't, then I'll see you at the next thing, the next big thing. And we'll be back next week with some more stuff and hopefully no more soapboxes. Thanks for watching.